She was quiet.
Yeah.
Didn't really notice her.
Nah.
Not shy exactly,
No, not shy.
but not loud either.
No, not loud.
The sort of person that if someone at school said, "Oh, you know Grace," you'd say, "Who's Grace?" And you'd say, "Grace Fremantle." And you'd say, "Who's Grace Fremantle?"
Exactly.
And they'd say, "Oh, she's the one in 11F." And you say, "Oh, the one with the hair and the glasses." And they'd say, "No, that's Miriam." But after a few tries, you'd get it. You'd remember who she was. You know the sort. Not that good looking.
Nah.
Not bad looking, though.
Nah.
She wasn't clever. Like clever.
Nah.
Like, not in the top sets or anything like that.
Nothing like that.
But not in the bottom sets either.
Nope.
Not a joker.
Nah.
Or a troublemaker.
Nah.
Or a loner.
Nope.
She had friends.
Yeah. She had friends.
They weren't popular.
Unpopular?
No, not unpopular.
No. Yeah. Not unpopular?
Grace was just like, you know those American kids that go into high schools and shoot everyone dead? And the teacher goes, "Oh, no big surprise there. They haven't spoken in 2 years. They've been wearing the same black sweatshirt for 11 months, and their chemistry book is full of drawings of guns." Well, no, Grace wasn't like that.
She wasn't like that.
She was average.
Yeah. Average.
Grace Fremantle was totally average.
Totally average.
I'm Grace Fremantle. I was totally average.
My dad's mates with Grace's dad, Paul. Dad always says Paul's a good bloke. See, my dad's a twitcher, which means he's a bird watcher. Yeah, cringe totally, I hear. Paul, Grace's dad's also a twitcher, and the pair of them go down the marshes every Sunday with their little binoculars, and they go for a fry-up at Pauline's calf and talk about sparrows and bobtailed tits. That's a real bird. That's his real name. Anyway, last year, Paul posted this video on Facebook of Grace throwing a tantrum when she was little.
46 likes, 15 thumbs up.
27 tears of laughter emojis.
I'm 5 years old. I'm wearing my Little Miss Sunshine t-shirt. Dad's playing with his new phone. We're supposed to be going to the park. I ask him, but he says he's busy. He promised, but before he promised, and that's not fair.
It is a funny video, I can't deny that. She's screaming on the floor, little arms and legs all over the place.
I'm fire and fury inside.
Then she gets up and she falls onto her Lego. And if you've ever fallen on Lego, you'll know it hurts like hell. And Paul, Grace's dad, is filming it all on his new phone, giggling away. Not in a horrible way, just, like a dad way.
I'm red and blood and pus inside.
And Jen, Grace's mum, comes in to see what's going on. She tries to reason with Grace, but there's no point.
I am blast and yellow and clash inside.
Jen tries to hug Grace, and she just kicks her.
I am rupture and burst and storm inside.
And then Paul, Grace's dad, says,
"Your behaviour is completely inappropriate for a young lady."
And then Grace just roars at him, actually roars, properly roars. And she's sent to her bedroom to think about what she has done. And then Jen turns to Paul and says,
What did we do to deserve her?
and they burst out laughing. And then the video stops. Paul found the video last year and posted it on Facebook with the title Epic Disgrace, which is, kind of funny and clever because it's a pun on her name. Grace. Disgrace. Epic disgrace. But also a bit, crap of him. I mean, all the parents thought it was hilarious. My dad included.
Comments. Epic disgrace.
LOL. Emoji thumbs up.
Little Miss Sunshine. LOL. Give me that over a teenager any day.
Preach. Emoji fist bump.
The Raw. Emoji love heart eyes. Yes, the Raw.
The raw. 5 emoji love heart eyes.
FYI, I'm not saying that Paul, Grace's dad, or the video has got anything to do with what happened in PE and that day and everything. Just, I wouldn't like that if my dad did that. It's not a very adult, grown-up thing to do.
It's December. Cold. Evening, 7 o'clock. I'm at home. My dad's still at work and Mum's just got back from her shift and is eating a sandwich with some chutney she found at the back of the cupboard. I'm in my bedroom, staring at my GCSE revision timetable. My revision timetable is colour-coded and covered in fluorescent post-its that Dad nicked from work. See, my parents are big on revision and working hard and me being the best possible version of myself. My revision timetable is a work of art. Mum takes a bite of her sandwich and shouts up the stairs.
Grace, are you revising?
I like the way the pink and yellow post-its look next to each other.
Grace? Did you hear me?
They remind me of sweets.
Grace?
Like rhubarb and custards.
Well, I hope you're revising, Grace.
Like the rhubarb and custards I had when we went to the seaside when I was 7.
It's maths and physics tonight, isn't it?
When we walked along the beach and found shells and Dad ran into the sea and I had a 99 ice cream and Mum ruffled my hair and snuck a bite of my flake, but I didn't mind because the sun was shiny and the sea was wavy.
Look, Grace, I'm not going to nag you, but remember, it is your future.
And that's when I first feel it.
Your future.
In my belly, I feel
Your future.
a presence, a gnawing, a squirming. It's small, like a cherry pip or a baby shrimp. It's really small, whatever it is, but it's here. It's definitely here.
Grace Fremantle. Grace Fremantle in PE. More like Fremantle. Grace Fremantle. Do you get it? You don't get it. Okay.
I met Grace on my first day at primary school. We were best friends. It's hard to since... Anyways, I loved primary. We all loved primary. Every Thursday, our teacher, Mrs. Drake, used to take the whole class out onto the school field and tell us to look up at the sky. She told us about the cumulus clouds and the stratus clouds and the nimbus clouds. She asked us to close our eyes and listen to the music of the wind in the trees. She asked us to lie on our stomachs and feel the heat of the earth on our skin and look at the grass and count all the different things we could see. She said, "Isn't the world a wonderful place?" And we all nodded, belly down on the hot soil. One Thursday, I counted 17 things in the grass, and Grace counted 17 too. We both saw an iridescent little bug with bright green wings. It was beautiful. I miss being 7. I miss counting interesting things in the grass.
I'm in the library. I'm reading a book about... I don't know what it's about, because I'm not reading it really. 'Cause it's for English and it's boring, and I'd rather read my own book than a book that somebody else tells me that I have to read. I flick through Insta on my phone.
A young woman stands in a bikini on a beach.
My insides feel hot.
A young woman stands in a bikini on a beach. The beautiful orange sun sets behind her.
I feel...
The palm trees are a vivid green.
my stomach feels wormy.
She is tanned.
Like the night before an exam.
The orange sun makes her glow.
Or when your friends don't respond to your post.
Her body is slim and curvy.
Or when a teacher says, "Can I speak to you after class?"
Her bikini is the brightest white.
It's pulsing in my body.
Her hair is windswept and natural.
I can feel it pulsing in my body.
She is having the best time.
Pulse.
Post. Didn't want to leave our little place at Greens Pines Ibiza today.
Pulse.
Thank you to everyone at Greens Pines Ibiza for such a gorgeous 2 days. Emoji waves.
I'm not pregnant, if that's what you think.
Emoji sun. Emoji pink hearts ×2.
Never had sex, never been near any sperm.
Emoji white hands preach. Hashtag ditzy bikinis.
And it's not another Jesus, just to be clear.
Hashtag seawater shampoo.
I don't know what it is, but it's not that.
Hashtag EasyJet.
Pulse.
Grace Fremantle was a normal person until she wasn't.
There's a special school assembly with a special guest. The special guest is a famous barrister who went to the private school across town, which has its own theatre and a cricket pitch and ancient oak trees. See, our school doesn't have its own theatre or a cricket pitch or ancient oak trees. Our school has 1 between 2 books and teachers who call off sick. The barrister is very passionate.
I want you to look around you. I want you to look to your left. Now look to your right. Welcome to your competition.
My womb contracts.
You will sit your GCSEs at the same time. You will sit your A-levels together. You will apply for university at the same time.
My womb judders.
And what I want to know is, what are you doing to stand out from everyone here?
It expands in my womb.
You are at a crucial point in your lives.
It expands.
Every choice you make now will impact on your future.
Grows the size of a chestnut.
Let's get real here. Do you want to own your own house? Well, how are you going to get it?
It's not painful, but not painful either. It feels sort of...
How are you going to manage that? Because houses are expensive.
unknowable.
You should be thinking about the things you want in the future now. What is your plan?
It feels like the worst is yet to come.
What is your 5-year plan?
Or the best is yet to come.
You are in charge of your destiny.
Grows the size of a mouse.
With hard work and determination, you can make your dream come true.
Grows the size of a hamster.
Harness your power.
By the end of the assembly, it's the size of a newborn puppy.
You can make it happen.
A small one.
The hard work starts now.
A Jack Russell, maybe?
The competition started yesterday.
Or a West Highland Terrier.
Welcome to the real world.
Yeah, like a West Highland Terrier puppy scrabbling around inside me.
My memory of Grace Fremantle, before that day in PE, before it happened, is kinda hazy. She was in a couple of my classes and, yeah, nothing much really. Just kind of, no, nothing. Oh yeah, actually no, that wasn't her. I remember something. There was this one time, right, it was break and me and my lot were by the art block. My mate Ali was laughing and looking at his phone and I said, "What's that?" and Ali passed it over. Someone had posted a video of Janice Levy, who was in the year below, winning the 100-metre sprint in the Borough Championships. Just so you know, a bit of context on that. Janice Levy is the fastest runner in our school. She's like superhuman. She breaks all the running records all the time. She was in the local paper and some famous coach from Manchester came specially to see her. There was some chat about the next Olympics. Anyway, so in this video, Janice Levy is running this race for the school in the Borough Championships. Really fast, obviously. And in the video, you can see quite clearly that Janice isn't wearing a sports bra. She's just got a normal bra on. And her boobs are really bouncing because she's so fast, and her boobs are big, and they're flying all over the place, and someone has put up a title that doesn't say, you know, superhuman woman slays competition in the Borough Championships. Instead, they've written the fastest tits in the borough. And all my lot are creasing. I don't think it's funny, but I don't want to seem, I don't know, I sort of half laugh because I don't want to. Anyway, so Grace Fremantle walks past and Ali shows it to her. Grace looks.
Fastest tits in the borough!
609 tears of laughter faces.
110 green sick faces.
42 thumbs up.
37 aubergines.
She doesn't say anything, but she doesn't laugh either. She hands the phone back to Ali and goes into her art class. I told my form tutor about that video because I thought an adult should know what was going on, but I don't know if he did anything. That's my grey story. Sorry, it's a bit of an anticlimax, isn't it? Janice refused to come to school after that. Yeah, it's more of a Janice story than a grey story. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
When it is asleep, it throbs in time with my heartbeat. It's like we're one thing. I know we're not one thing. It plays around. Sometimes I think it has feathers. Sometimes I think it has fur. Sometimes spikes like a porcupine. It wrestles and tumbles inside my body. I can feel its spine up against my kidneys.
It was February when I first noticed Grace being an oddball. My mum had just got engaged to John, aka the dickhead. She was trying to get me on side, so she gave me 10 quid to go get some dinner as a treat. Me and Grace was in Pizza Town, waiting for our pizzas. Mine, an extra hot Hawaiian with olives, 'cause I'm half Italian, but I love pineapple, so sue me. Grace was having a margarita. Classic. Pizza Town is not really the place that's bothered about cleanliness. The tables are bare, sticky, and the floor, well, you don't want to think about that one too much. Let's just say the mop is a stranger to that floor. But the pizzas are banging, so swings and roundabouts, innit? There's this TV up in the corner, right up by the ceiling. Not a flat screen. One of those old ones with a big bum at the back. The news was on. Grace was watching it.
There are children and women and men in an inflatable boat on the sea. The waves are enormous. The boat is sinking.
It scuttles down from my belly, across my pelvis and into my thigh.
The sound was off. Ed Sheeran was blaring out 1,000,000 decibels, making the news look like the most boringest music video ever. And Grace just kept watching.
A woman slips from the boat. She has a baby in her arms. She tries to keep the baby above her head as she's dragged into the water.
Its body quivers inside my thigh.
My mum met the dickhead through her mate Sally, who used to go out with him, but she dumped him because he was too high maintenance. When I met him, I didn't like him one bit. He was cold to me when Mum went out the room, and a bit nasty to her when she wouldn't do what he wanted.
A terrified man reaches for the screaming baby and passes it to a terrified teenage girl.
It pushes its tiny skull up against my kneecap.
I tried to say something about it to Mum, like, look at the warning signs. But she just said, don't you want me to be happy? And there's nothing you can say to that. So, there we were, me and Grace in Pizza Town, waiting. Me worrying about my mum and the dickhead, and Grace just staring at the TV like she'd never seen a TV before.
The woman disappears under a crash of foam and bubbles.
I said, Grace, what are you going to do next year?
It taps at my kneecap. Tap.
I said, are you going to stay on at school?
Tap. I put my hand above my knee. I massage the skin. I try to soothe it.
I said, Grace? Grace?
The boat upturns. The children, women, and men scream and shout. They cling onto the inflatable, which grows soft under their touch.
My leg violently jerks, hits the underneath of the table.
And then you'll never guess what happened next. She just got up and left. She left me in Pizza Town without even a goodbye. Like, are you joking? Are you actually joking? Who does that? She wasn't even my first choice to get pizza with. I only asked her because everyone else was busy. My mum went ahead and married that dickhead.
Grace was in my maths class. I liked her. I think she liked me too. Sometimes she'd catch me looking over at her and she'd smile, and sometimes I'd catch her looking over at me and I'd smile back at her. There was something between us. I could feel it. You can, can't you? You can feel it when there's something there. I was going to ask her if she wanted to come over to mine or hang out or whatever, but then she changed, and I didn't. She was nice. I wish I'd said to her, "You can talk to me if you want. No pressure. I'm here if you want to talk." I wish I'd said that.
We were in geography. It was proper boring.
Yeah, Grace was sat on our table.
Seating plan. Between? The teacher, Miss Jarvis, loves a seating plan.
Miss Jarvis is scary.
In it, the way her eyes bulge out of her head when she's annoyed.
That lesson, Miss Jarvis was going on about carbon emissions.
Miss Jarvis is always going on about carbon emissions.
Miss Jarvis really hates carbon emissions.
It is asleep. It's curled around my heart.
It's important to understand that the Earth's climate is changing at an unprecedented speed.
It wakes up.
I don't even know what a carbon emission is. Do you?
Yeah.
Oh.
We can see this in higher temperatures all over the world with rising sea levels.
It wants something.
Geography isn't my thing. Art is my thing.
You'll stick it up.
Oh, thanks, son.
We can see this in more frequent and severe floods, droughts and storms.
Don't know what it wants.
Miss Jarvis was droning on, so I got my phone out to show the others this bag I liked. I passed my phone to Grace under the table.
Anna Beauty, 1.1 million followers. This beautiful clutch makes a perfect travel bag, and it's only $42.99.
We can see this in species extinction.
Grace looked at the phone really close, I remember, because I wanted to see, but I couldn't get to it.
Anna Beauty, #clutch, #retro vibes, #bring on summer.
The vaquita is the world's rarest marine animal.
And Grace is gripping the phone, like...
Yeah, like...
Pixie Dream 22. Anna Beauty, I want your bag, I want your life.
The vaquita will be extinct in the next 5 years.
His body tenses.
Yeah, she had her head right down, like...
like...
Yeah, and then Miss Jarvis put up this photo of this sea fish thing she was going on about.
This small porpoise was only discovered in 1958. And here we are, 60 years later, about to lose them forever.
Then Grace suddenly looked up.
But she was still gripping my phone, like...
It scuttles along the length of my torso.
And I wanted my phone back.
Climate change is a catastrophe in waiting for all of us.
His body bristles.
Yeah, because here if the teachers see your phone, they take it.
And the consequences for humans can already be seen.
It starts climbing up my ribcage.
Yeah, they lock your phone as safe.
Around the world, we see wars and starvation.
It pulls itself up inside my ribcage. I think it has teeth.
And your mum or dad or older sister, whoever has to come and collect it.
Around the world, we see desertification and forced migration.
My dad had to come and get my phone once. He was livid.
And this is only going to get worse.
There's a noise.
I really wanted to get my phone off of her before Miss Jarvis saw it.
There's a noise inside me.
We have 12 years to do something before catastrophe is inevitable.
And so I reached over and I grabbed it out of Grace's hand.
I can hear it from inside me.
Just 12 years.
Yeah, that's when she went really weird.
It wasn't my fault.
I'm not saying it was.
Oh, I thought you were.
It was no one's fault. Or might have been somebody's fault, but we don't know, do we?
I can hear it from inside me.
And then Grace leaned right over the desk and she held her stomach like...
Yeah.
12 years for global leaders to take action.
And I said, what's up, Grace?
And my question to you is,
It's making this noise like...
what can we do about it?
And I said, Grace, are you all right?
Does anyone have any ideas?
I pull my jumper around me so no one else can hear.
And then Grace did a very un-Grace thing.
I don't know how to stop it from...
Very un-Grace.
I can't make it. Oh, they're gonna hear.
She started...
They're all gonna hear.
Yeah, she started.
I can't let them hear it.
She started singing.
I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do.
What on earth is...
It was proper funny seeing Mrs. Jarvis's eyes popping out all over the place, so we push and pull like a magnet.
And me.
Why are
My
you?
heart is falling through.
Until we
I'm in love with your
I'm warning
body.
you.
And
Last night you were in my room,
and
and on my bed you smell like you.
Stop
Every day
it.
discovering something brand new.
Stop
I'm in
this
love with
right
your
now.
body. Why?
I said stop!
And that's when we realised.
And that's when I realise.
Yeah, we realised
I realise
There was
there's
something
something seriously up with Grace.
the it wants to be heard.
Grace. Grace Fremantle. The one in 11F.
Me and Grace just got each other. Right from that start, the first day we met in year 1. She was really kind. Is, really. Was. Is. Yeah, she always made me feel like it's okay to be me. And a lot of the times I feel horrible being me. I hate my body.
I keep my mouth shut.
And when I look around me, I see loads of other people hating their bodies too, and their bodies look just fine to me.
I keep my mouth shut.
After school every day, we'd always go to Grace's house and make macaroni cheese. We loved macaroni cheese.
I keep my mouth shut.
But then she just kind of disappeared. Not literally, she was still around, but she wasn't, if you know what I mean.
I keep my mouth shut.
She stopped communicating.
I keep my mouth shut.
She stayed in the library after school and got the bus home when everyone was long gone.
I keep my mouth shut.
She stopped asking me to come over to her house. She stopped texting, WhatsApping, Instaing, Snapchatting, all of it. Everything. Finished.
I keep my mouth shut.
I missed her.
I keep my mouth shut.
I still miss her.
I keep my mouth shut.
One day at school I said to her, do you want to walk home together today?
I keep my mouth shut.
I said we can walk home together, then go to yours and make macaroni cheese.
I keep my mouth shut.
I said we can just hang out.
I keep my mouth shut.
But she didn't say anything. I took a deep breath and I asked her what I've been wanting to ask her for weeks.
I keep my mouth shut.
Grace, don't you like me anymore?
I keep my mouth shut.
But she didn't say anything.
I keep my mouth shut. I'm at home. I'm getting a drink of water. Yeah. He's resting. It occasionally rolls over and stretches along my abdomen. My mum comes in and puts on the radio to listen to the news.
The latest victim of a knife crime has been named 14-year-old David Sanderson.
The it dances.
Witnesses say they saw David Sanderson being chased by a group of 3 or 4 other youths.
I don't know why, but I go right up to where the radio is.
The victim is thought to have run into a local shop for help.
Suddenly, without warning, the it moves up over my shoulder and squeezes into my arm. I turn up the radio. A local mother comes on.
We're scared for our children.
There's a sharp pain in my hand.
We're scared when our children go to school.
There's a tiny cut in my hand.
We're scared when our children are out of our sight.
There's blood in the palm of my hand.
We need someone to do something.
There's something sticking out at the palm of my hand.
He was 14. Just a kid.
It looks like the thorn from a rose, but it's bright blue.
That poor boy lying in his own blood.
It's a claw.
Why is no one doing anything?
There's a claw sticking out the palm of my hand.
Why does no one care?
I tried to push the claw back in with my fingertip.
That boy, terrified, screaming, knowing he's going to die.
It won't go back in.
Screaming for his mum.
I go to the bathroom. I close the bathroom door. I take my shoe off.
The fifth teenage boy to be killed around here.
I hit the palm of my hand with a shoe like a hammer.
And no one in charge seems to give a toss.
The claw resists.
That poor boy.
The claw resists.
That poor boy.
I wrap gaffer tape around my hand.
Do you remember those lessons we had in history about the Middle East?
Boring.
With Mr. Logan?
Dickhead.
Do you remember that test?
Easy.
The one where I was sat next to Grace, Fremantle?
Yeah, Fremantle.
That's not nice.
True, though.
Well, you see, Grace didn't answer one question in that test. She didn't even pick up her pen.
Maybe it was hard to pick up a pen with them woolly gloves on. Joke.
It's not funny. I don't think you should be making jokes about her. I don't think we should be joking about her. I wouldn't like that if that happened to me.
Okay. God.
Do you remember the picture of the little boy in Syria who had been bombed? Well, when Grace saw that photo, she started to shake.
The pain inside is...
A 4-year-old boy sits in an orange chair. The chair is too big for him.
Aleppo has been bombed.
The little boy is dusty from the exploded buildings.
His hair is matted and chalky. One side of his face is covered in blood.
The little boy sits neatly with his hands on his knees.
He is silent and traumatized.
The pain inside me is unbearable.
The whole table started to move and her whole body was shaking. I asked her if she was right, but she didn't say anything. I was going to tell Mr. Logan, but she looked at me in that way, but I just thought I shouldn't. I should have told Mr. Logan. Maybe if I had told Mr. Logan, then that thing in PE would have never happened. It was obvious something was going on with her and she was in trouble and I didn't do anything. Maybe I should have done something.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah. I don't know.
I can't stop watching the news. I can't stop reading the news. I can't stop listening to the news. I don't want to. I shut my eyes. I cover my ears. I don't want to know.
Food banks. Cyclones.
Arms dealing.
Famine.
Plutocrats. Benefit cuts.
Luxury yachts.
Suicide.
Extinction.
It crawls up through my chest. Its spiky head reaches my throat. It wriggles up. Its beak is stuck in the back of my throat. Its beak opens up like a baby bird wanting to be fed. It speaks. It speaks. It speaks and it says, "What is next?"
Disaster.
Disaster.
I gulp and I gulp and I gulp it back until it's forced back down my throat, back down into my body, pulsing and vibrating back in the pit of my stomach. I put tape over my mouth.
Grace, man, Grace.
Yeah, Grace, man.
With the... and the...
Balaclava?
Nah, that's a pastry thing.
No, that's baklava.
Nah, that's a Greek, Turkish, Arabic pastry thing.
That's baklava.
Nah, definitely... Oh yeah, you're right.
My year 4 teacher used to bring baklava in at the end of term. Sick.
I cover my face.
So one day, Grace Fremantle comes in wearing this...
balaclava.
And it wasn't winter or nothing.
They all take the piss. I don't give a shit.
I don't know how she got away with it. They put me in isolation when I put all my trainers 2 days in a row, and I had a proper reason. My school shoes were getting fixed.
Yeah, I remember.
And just because I didn't have a note.
Yeah, I remember.
It was an extreme reaction.
Yeah, I remember.
I watched it move around inside my body, bumping and poking and pushing at my skin. It's grown so big. A long, low growl rumbles through my blood, muscle and gristle. What is next?
Grace Fremantle's allowed to come in wearing this balaclava.
Balaclava.
What is next?
Wandering around willy-nilly in her.
Balaclava.
Happy as Larry in her. Balaclava.
What is next?
Rich people hunt giraffes and tigers and lions and rhinos. Rich people follow the animals in jeeps. They stalk them and watch them and raise their guns. The giraffes and tigers and lions and rhinos stop for a drink at the river in the burning sun.
I fall asleep on the floor of my bedroom.
There are people in a camp in Calais. There are people in a camp in Kos. There are people in a camp in Bangladesh.
My dreams are infiltrated.
They've run away from their own countries. They've run away from hunger and war and terror.
My dreams are infiltrated.
The people used to live in peace with grandparents and friends and neighbours.
I wake up.
They used to sip tea and break bread with smiles and love. They used to bicker about parking spaces, and the music next door played at 3 a.m.
A terrible pain just below my belly button.
They used to sing to the old songs and dance to the new ones and laugh about the silly things like the way Grandma eats her pomegranates.
There's a trickle of blood.
The children used to go to school and learn their 1, 2, 3s, and then guns and bombs and helicopters arrived.
There's a rip in my stomach.
The women and men gathered up their children and started to run. They travelled miles with their possessions on their backs.
I peel back the skin.
The women and children and men are not wanted in the camps of Calais and Kos and Bangladesh.
There's an eye.
They dream of home.
A yellow eye.
They dream of Grandma eating her breakfast in the pink light of the morning. They dream of banging on the wall at 3 a.m, shouting at their neighbours to turn his music down.
A bright yellow eye.
There are women and children and men in a different type of camp in the south of France.
A bright yellow eye with a thin black pupil.
They wake up in the mornings and have croissants and jam and coffee. They stretch their legs and yawn into the glimmering sun.
It blinks up at me.
They think about the day ahead, which will be filled with giggles and sandcastles.
We look at each other.
And swimming and sun cream and cool bubbly drinks.
I think I know what it wants.
Grace. Yeah, Grace. In PE. Weird. 100% weird.
It was after school and I'd been at science revision. I'd left my coat in the lab, so I was running back to get it when I saw Grace sat in an empty classroom. She was sat very still, very upright, very neat. She was staring into space. I went in and I said, "Is everything okay, Grace?" She didn't look at me. I moved closer to her. I saw something flicker in her eyes.
The year is flexing its wings.
I thought she was going to say something.
Stretching its legs.
I touched her shoulder.
Grooming its fur or its feathers or its scales.
She flinched and she got up.
I can feel all of its muscles.
She moved to the door. I reached for her arm.
I can feel its strength.
I said, "Grace, tell me what's happening."
I can feel its power.
She shrugged me off.
It is preparing.
I grabbed hold of her blazer.
It's nearly ready.
And she turned around and she pushed me so hard that I fell over. I hit my head on the side of a desk and it started to bleed.
I'm scared.
I said, look what you've done.
I'm so scared.
And she turned around and she walked away. And I shouted after her. I shouted, I hate you.
I'm so scared.
And that was the last time I saw her. Can we stop?
Well, my auntie's friend knows Grace's neighbour, and he said that when Grace started wearing all those clothes, the teachers thought she had a special condition, and she was cold all the time. Apparently, Grace's parents contacted the school, said she had some autoimmune thing. I have no idea what an autoimmune thing is, but it doesn't really matter, because she didn't have an autoimmune thing anyway. And Grace's parents weren't the ones that contacted the school. It was Grace. Grace sent the email pretending to be them.
The inside of me is heating up. I can hardly breathe. I can hardly move. I tape my whole body up to make a barrier. I wear a layer of clothes underneath my school uniform and an old puffer jacket over the top. My mouth is covered, my hands are covered, my head is covered. It cannot get out. I cannot let it get out.
My auntie's friend said that Grace's neighbour said that Grace's parents are really nice. Said they're switched on. I think that means they know what's going on. Although they didn't seem to know what was going on with Grace, and she's their daughter. Not that I think it's their fault. I don't tell my parents a bean about my life. They say, "What'd you do at school today?" I say, "Nothing." They say, "What are you doing in your bedroom?" I say, "Nothing." They say, "What are you looking at online?" I say, "Nothing." They're so nosy. They get on my nerves. Anyway, my auntie's friend said that Grace's neighbour said that Grace's parents are devastated. If only they'd known what was happening, then that day in P could have been avoided. They could have helped her or stopped it or... I don't know. But they could have done something, which I'm sure is true. Someone should have been able to do something to help her before, you know. Don't you think?
I was in P when it happened. It was mental. The whole thing was like total madness. It was a boiling hot day, and we had a supply teacher, so, you know, well, supply teacher, she wanted us to run 100 metres. I shouted, "That's against our human rights!" And everybody creased. I'm a joker, innit? Everybody was in shorts and t-shirts, apart from Grace, who was dressed in all her gear, looking like a colossal nutter.
Pulse.
I'd like to take that back. She didn't look like a colossal nutter. She just looked unusual. Yeah, she looked unusual in her unusual apparel. Anyways, we're out on the field, which was dry as a savannah because of the heat wave, and the supply teacher was starting the first race. Grace was on the other side of me. The supply teacher woman blew a whistle and we all set off, but no one could be arsed, so there was a lot of dawdling and chit-chat.
Pulse.
The general lack of effort pissed off the supply teacher and she proper shouted at us.
You're supposed to be competing.
It freezes.
Whoever's last gets a detention.
The supply teacher was a wild one. You know how some supply teachers are a little bit unpredictable, so everyone started running.
It darts its head.
And then someone shouted something about Janice Levy.
Fastest tits in the borough.
And everyone started laughing.
It clenches its jaw.
609, tears of laughter faces.
It arches its scaly back. Its spikes flicker.
110, green stick faces.
Its claws retract and protract.
So, I finished the race and turned back to see if I was last, which I wasn't, which was surprising to me because I usually am. Running is not my forte. Grace was way behind me, standing dead still in her lane, and the supply teacher was lining up the next race to go.
What I want to know is, what are you doing to stand out from everyone here?
It opens its beak and bares its teeth.
There are children and women and men in an inflatable boat in the sea.
It plunges and heaves and dives inside me.
The supply teacher spotted Grace and marched up to her and was all... Grace didn't even look at her.
Remember, it's your future.
It whirls in a fever of blistering heat around my organs.
The waves are enormous.
And the supply teacher was shouting her head off right in Grace's face. Grace was standing, still as a statue, which was making the supply teacher apoplectic.
Hashtag ditzy bikinis. Hashtag EasyJet.
It twists my liver.
Grace, are you revising?
It snaps at my kidneys.
There are people in a camp in Calais.
It claws at my lungs.
Eventually, the supply teacher got fed up and stomped off back to the starting line to have a go at someone else.
There are people in a camp in Kos.
It starts to shred my muscles.
Grace stayed where she was. In the middle of the lane, in the middle of the track, in the middle of the school field on a boiling hot day.
There are people in a camp in Bangladesh.
You know when you see a dog digging? It's doing that to the soft flesh inside of me.
The 5th teenage boy to be killed around here.
And the supply teacher started the next race. The runners pointed at Grace, but the supply teacher motioned they should run around her.
And no one in charge seems to give a toss.
I'm filling up with blood.
And the girl who was running in Grace's lane looked a bit worried about the human obstacle and said something to the supply teacher who looked like she was going to explode at any moment, and suddenly she shouted, "Just fucking run!"
And just started cracking up with laughter, all saying we were going to report to their teacher. We all started to fucking run.
The woman disappears under a crash of foam and bubbles.
Its talons scratch up at my larynx. I cough up blood.
Food banks.
Cyclones.
Arms dealing.
It crushes my heart.
But the girl who's running in Grace's lane veered so far into the other lane that she tripped up whoever, who tripped up whoever, who tripped up whoever, and so on until there was a whole pile of them. They all started cracking up.
Rich people hunt giraffes and tigers and lions and rhinos.
It snaps off my ribs and pushes through. The pain.
And we all started cracking up.
The Earth's climate is changing at an unprecedented speed.
The pain is...
Yeah, everyone was cracking up.
The little boy is dusty from the exploded buildings.
It burrows its face up through my throat.
It was so funny.
Food banks.
I gulp down.
Plutocrats.
I gulp down.
Benefit cuts.
I gulp down.
We were literally rolling around on the floor in hysterics.
It forces my mouth open.
The children used to go to school to learn their 1, 2, 3s. Then guns and bombs and helicopters arrived.
And suddenly there was this noise, like someone was being murdered.
Its head rams my teeth.
Hashtag bring on the summer.
We looked at the Just Effin' Run supply teacher, and it wasn't her.
My teeth shatter and crumble from my mouth.
That poor boy. That poor boy.
The supply teacher was staring at the third lane of the running track.
My cheeks split as it hauls itself out of me.
We all swiveled round to see where the sound was coming from. It was Grace.
Your behaviour is completely inappropriate for a young lady.
Its scaly feet kick at the sides of my throat.
Grace was standing in exactly the same position.
I'm in love with the shape of you.
It uses my windpipe as a launch pad.
But her mouth was open.
It's your future.
It wrestles itself out of me. It's slick and wet, covered in blood and pus. Its tail slaps my face as it launches itself into the sky.
Her head tilted right back.
Floods, droughts, and storms.
Its enormous wings unfurl mid-air with blast and yellow and clash.
Her face turned up to the sky.
Desertification and forced migration.
The wings are bright green and iridescent.
And her mouth wide open.
And a beauty. I want your bag. I want your life.
Flecks of fire spin off its scaly body like a Catherine wheel.
The noise was unbelievable.
The boat upturns.
It stinks of fire and demons and rapture and storm.
The noise was so loud.
The sky is filled with red and orange and clot and guts.
The boy's hair is matted and chalky.
It was frightening.
The whole world heats up.
It's your future.
The adults in charge run for safety.
The noise that was coming from her was so frightening.
It's all their fault.
Luxury yachts.
Suicide.
Extinction.
The it is coming for them.
I'll never forget that.
The it blinks its bright yellow eyes. The earth shudders.
War and starvation.
It opens its beak full of howl.
It
cuts out the sunlight. We descend into darkness, full of fury and brilliance, and fever and magnificence. The it stops the world with a...
They tried to get Grace Fremantle off the school field, but she wouldn't go. It was awful. Eventually, 3 teachers came and they had to carry her off. They took her to the medical room. Her parents arrived. They wrapped a blanket around her and walked her to their car. Her mum was asking her loads of questions, but Grace didn't say anything. She looked exhausted. Her whole body was sagging, and at one point she stumbled and they had to catch her and hold her up. She didn't come back to school. I don't know where she went. No one knows where she went. Even Sam doesn't know. They don't tell us anything. Everyone has different theories about why it happened. Exam pressure, drugs, eating disorders, boy trouble, girl trouble, friend trouble, parent trouble. I don't join in. I don't say one word because when everyone saw Grace lose her shit on the PE field that day and scream and scream and scream up at the sky, I saw something different. I probably shouldn't say this. I'll regret saying it, but I saw it crawl out of her mouth and open its wings and cover the sky. I saw it open its beak and roar. I saw it shower flames of yellow and gold and rust all over us. I saw it because it's in me too. I know it is. I can feel it. Just here. I feel a presence, a gnawing, a squirming. It's small, like a cherry pip or a baby shrimp. It's really small, whatever it is, but it's here. It's definitely here. Oh, sorry, I'll just turn it off.